we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome back to another episode of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. We're back, mini hiatus, to discuss an absolutely thrilling 1-0 victory against Newcastle. Back to winning ways in April. Neil was there. Neil is here to discuss it. How you doing, Neil Shah?
Yeah, I'm all right, Jack. How are you doing? You all right?
I'm all right, mate. I'm better than I was over the last few weeks, I can tell you that much. Not much to do with the performance, but obviously results make a big difference, you know, and what we won 1 in 6, I think, before this. It's been a really tough run, you know, especially at such an important part of the season to have such a dip in form. Though we're used to it. You know, everyone going, can't believe it. I was like, can't believe it. I was like, well, Arsenal fans are gold medalists in this. We know exactly what, you know, we're very, very used to this, especially in April. But back to winning ways, we're here to discuss it. It was absolutely vital, Neil, after last week's disappointment at City, where you felt, well, you know, to be honest, that was a bit of an outlier in terms of the performance. You know, it was actually a very good performance. I think City we could have easily won that game. We were all disappointed not to take something from it, and it was huge not to. But we probably should have. Lots of missed chances, but a lot to be positive about. We went into this game, Neil, with a similar lineup. I want to say, you know, he kept Eze at left wing, kept Havertz at the 9, which I liked. The only change, I think, was Ben White at right back, which, you know, is fine at the moment. You know, without Timber, it's kind of like, feels like you're just kind of rotating him and Mascara, so that was fine, especially with 3 games in the week coming up. And I like the way he's set up. Neil, and I think before we get into some of the negatives, and there are some, because it was a really tough watch, and Newcastle were going for a terrible run themselves. I think it's their worst run of form under Eddie Howe. They had some injuries themselves. It was still, you know, a performance to be really sort of, you know, have some concerns about, I think. And I'm not sure he did anything to alleviate the anxiety and nerves that the media seem to be talking about within Arsenal fans, and sometimes blaming Arsenal fans for it. I want to get your take on that, being a fan in the crowd. Neil, just forget it. I mean, how was the atmosphere before the game? I mean, I want to ask you a couple of questions about the crowd. So how was the atmosphere before the game, knowing obviously we had a 6-point lead, 9 points, but, you know, 6-point lead, you know, when all the games were level, and obviously now that, you know, we're basically level on points with City, and they've got a superior goal difference. So, you know, it's very much in their hands as much as it is ours at this point. But how was the atmosphere going in, Neil, after a really tough run?
Surprisingly good.
It sounded it, so I just wanted to ask you.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good. Everyone was upbeat. I think the weather had a lot to do with it as well, because it was a really nice sunny day. Really, really lovely day, to be fair. I met up with a few people, and everyone in the pubs and the surrounding areas were really nice spirits. I actually was really surprised, because I thought people would be very low. The moods would be just gone after what we've gone through. I mean, to be fair, going from a position of strength in 4 competitions, and then 3 weeks later, we're just about hanging on to 2. Well, not a bit unfair. I mean, we're in the semi-final of the Champions League, and you know, that being a knockout competition, it could go either way. It still could go either way. But the performances, I think what really sticks out for me is the fact that it's not just about scraping through; it's the performances and how long you can sustain that. I mean, even the second leg with Sporting, which I went to as well, I was just standing there, just with a really kind of feeling of, what are we watching? It just seems so inept. There doesn't seem to be any desire. Yeah, we got through, and it's not easy at this stage and this level to make the semi-finals of the Champions League. We've done it 2 years in succession, which is great. but it's still a hard watch, Jack, when you look at it and you think there's still 3 really good teams left in this competition, and how are we going to cope playing like this? So with all of that, the crowd was surprisingly good. And look, just going into the game, and I've, again, from the ones I've been to this season, luckily enough, the crowd's really up for it at the beginning, Jack. They're really buoyant. They're in good spirits. They're shouting, they're screaming, they're singing. The song, which some people either like or don't like, North London Forever, everyone gets involved. It's a really hyped up atmosphere. You've got the drums going with the Ashburton Army. And then for certain players, which I liked in the past when things were going well and they're performing well, but for especially Odegaard to be flaying his arms and say, come on, well, the players have got to give you something to come on.
Of course. I was livid when he did that, to be honest.
It's a two-way thing. You do that to try and encourage the crowd, which I do. As I said, I like it. I like to see the players do it. But when you're actually giving nothing, it's hard for the fans to engage. It's hard for the fans to be that 12th man. But as far as I was concerned, I thought the crowd was great. Was really in good spirits for this particular game. So that's how it was.
And Neil, that, it's human nature. I mean, I'm not someone that I've been to plenty of games, but I'm not someone that goes to regular games now, obviously, because I live so far away. But it all stems from what you're seeing on the pitch. It does. I mean, Arsenal fan base, people can say, Arsenal fan base are this, or Highbury, the library, and all that. We know full well our fan base is fantastic, just like any fan base can be, and but it all stems from what you're seeing on the pitch, at times. And if you're not seeing that, and people out there, you're in a title race, why are you so anxious? It stems from what you see on the pitch. When you're seeing your team free-flowing and creating chances and being imaginative and on the front foot, as a crowd, you get excited by that, and that's a given. Like you said, I mean, look at the baseline. The crowd was super excited walking in after a really tough week where, many people, think we've blown it, but the crowd's super excited, knowing we're still there, we're still fighting, and knowing they want to be the 12th man going in. But then obviously when you see what you're seeing on the pitch, naturally that nervousness, that anxiety, that frustration, that's going to build among. I mean, that is just normal human nature for a regular match-going football fan. So I don't really understand. I think I really, and I don't love what Odegaard did, because Odegaard did it at a time where we were really struggling to get our foot on the ball. It wasn't like we just had 2 or 3 massive chances and he was like,
exactly,
come on, get us over the line here. It was at a moment where we were really struggling, and I'm like, you've got to read the room, Martin. First of all, you're not doing enough to start with. You've not been around enough. Secondly, as a captain, you've not been there, and I know you've been. It's not your choice to be injured, but you've not been there enough. We really need you, mate, and you've not been there enough.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, and I saw that. I mean, you know from being there, but it looked like the crowd were giving it just as much back to him as he was trying to get them to rally him. And I was like, no, you can ask for that, at time, but you've got to pick your moments with that. When you want the crowd to get behind you and support you, got to show it on the pitch first and foremost, and we're not seeing it at the moment. So I completely agree with you, and I wanted to get your take on it. I mean, to start with, Neil, I mean, there were some positives. Obviously, we scored in the 9th minute. I mean, I was livid before that we were taking short corners, but we obviously had read something. Newcastle, I'm very aware that Newcastle have a very good aerial team. They 6'5" players all over the pitch. In terms of physicality, they mimic what we do to a certain degree. Obviously, play a very different style to us, but so it's understandable. My issue wasn't that we were taking short corners, by the way. It was that we were taking them so blipping badly. I mean, we took a couple, and we didn't even get to where we wanted to get to. We didn't. The ball ended up going back to Rayo, I think, for the first one. Yeah. And then you had one other one that you could see what we were trying to do, and Eze was clearly the target. And to be honest, Neil, I mean, I did say to you, after our frustrations, even at the end of the game, that for you or for me, I would have said that goal alone would have been worth the ticket. To be honest, it was a beautiful goal, and credit to Madueke and to Havertz for creating it.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Everyone was like saying, "What are you doing with these corners? You're not getting them into the danger area. You're not doing that. What's this short corner rubbish?" And it's just leading to nothing. It's so wasteful. And considering that we have been the kings of set pieces of late, you're not showing it at all. But it was almost as if they were kind of lulling Newcastle into a full sense of security with it, and it kind of felt like it was planned after the third attempt. I think it was the third corner in a row that it actually came off. But it was so well done. It was so fast. Everyone was taken aback by it. I don't think anyone expected it, but it was a nice little touch from Havertz as well. And the space that Eze was in was great. The way that they had formulated that. I mean, I think if we'd been a victim of that, we would have been going mental about the space that was there in that kind of area that Eze occupied. But I think it was just so well done. But the finish, it was beautiful. It was typical of what Eze does, and I think he has scored the most goals. I mean, obviously being with Palace as well since 1922. 1922? Bloody hell, I'll go back in time, aren't I? 2022. Outside the box, I think he scored the most. There's some stat, I think, or he's definitely up there. But wow, what a brilliant, clean strike. He does that, doesn't he? He can just manifest his power out of nothing.
He strikes it so cleanly.
Yeah, it's just effortless, isn't it? It's just so true, the strike. And it went through two defenders and it just curled away to the top corner. What a peach of a goal. And when we saw that, it felt like all the troubles of the last 3 or 4 weeks had just dissipated. Just watching that, because the relief was palatable in everyone's reactions, if that makes sense. And, it just felt that the relief, it was a relief. And it felt like, because it was so early, are we actually going to score a few goals today? Are we actually going to see something very, very special? And then the rest was history. But it was a great goal. Let's just take in that moment from just for a second. And this is what I'm talking about, getting people off their seats. I think I got off my seat 3 times in that game. And that's links into what we were saying at the start about how you are also supposed to generate some reaction in the crowd for us to then give you back that 12th man effect. Well, there was nothing much to get you off your seats, Jack. And that's another thing that doesn't seem to be happening much lately. But the goal was fantastic.
Yeah, I think when you look at our attack, and I think, the criticisms of our attack and Mikel Arteta and perhaps the way he sets our attack up, because I do think one of his biggest weaknesses, Mikel Arteta, is understanding attacking relationships. I just don't think he's ever been... Well, the telling point of that is the front three that since probably 6 months ago we've all just moaned about, which is Gyökeres, Martinelli and Madueke. Not necessarily about the individuals, but the clear sign that collection of a front three has no connectivity whatsoever. They all want the ball in behind. They're not technically very good. There's just so much about that front three that doesn't mesh well, and there's tons of data on it. I think in open play, we average about 1.04 XG from open play when we play. But when we play that front three together, it drops to about 0.2. I think, I don't want to give you the wrong stat, so I'm going to make sure I read it right. 0.29. So, and this data was there quite a long time ago. So I think his issue is that, and the biggest frustration I got with the Eze stuff is, and he obviously, and he's seen it now. There's no doubt about it. He's seen it now. But I think he made a big error in what he did against Villa in punishing him for 8 to 10 weeks, not just from the team but from that position. And let's be honest, he's only just since the City game last week decided, yes, I can trust you in that position again. And we're seeing it. I mean, he was so unlucky last week against City. I think I think Mikel Arteta got a lot right last week, but again, the biggest error he got was taking Eze off. I mean, he was the one. If we were going to score, it was going to come from him, wasn't it? But you're seeing it now, and as our left wingers are stinking out the gaff every week, it's making it a little bit easier. But he's got the star quality that we so lack. And I kind of argued this with my brother, and he went, "I don't think Eze is as good as you say he is." And I went, "But you've got to play it up with what we've got in front of us as well. You know, he's such a shining light because everyone in the front three is also so poor. But also he's got, like you said, I mean, he's got that star quality. He went, I think he loses the ball quite a lot, or sometimes he has the air. I was like, but he takes risks. He takes the shots on. The shot before it was the telling point. It was on his weaker foot, and he just went, no, I'm just going to get a shot off. I'm not going to wait to get it on my stronger foot. I'm just going to get the shot off and see what happens. Yeah, it went wide and he dragged it a little bit, but it was it was a sign that, yeah, I'm willing to take this on. I don't care if I miss. I'm going to do it again. He's got this sort of contagious calmness about him in and around the box that you just look and you go, you're going to keep doing these actions and they're going to come off for you eventually.
Yeah, it's going to pay off.
Yeah, it's going to pay off. And I sort of mentioned Pires. I mean, obviously different players, and Pires is probably the best left winger I've seen at Arsenal, but I think he's got a lot of the in and around the box qualities of Pires. He can see things that other people can't, you know. And I just, oh gosh, I mean, obviously scores and it's a fantastic goal. Oh. Gosh. And then the injury happened, and this is where, you know, I've been so critical of Arteta about injuries, but in this first half we get an injury to Kai Havertz again, and I don't really know what the injury is. I think it looked like groin maybe, but then it came out that said maybe he felt something in his knee, so I don't really know. But that didn't look good because, you couldn't see what happened. Again, so innocuous, but his facial expression did not look...
Face, yeah.
And that usually tells you its own story.
Yeah.
And then Eze's one is hard because he's the coolest guy in the room.
Smiling, isn't he?
Yeah, so you don't know. I mean, he says he's good, and the scam might say otherwise, kind of thing, you know. But again, both players came off very early. Havertz just before half time, Eze just after. But again, I look at that, Neil, and I go, well, what can Arteta do with them two? Like, they've not been... I mean, Havertz, you can argue 2 years ago was overplayed, but yet neither of them have been overplayed in recent or
correct
term. So I'm looking at it going, it's just poxy luck as well, you know. Like what are we doing? How are we? And those two to me were crucial to the performance last week. This week, you know, I don't think we're putting in such a good performance, and you could argue they were in the team. So, but so frustrating, Neil, and we need some luck here. We really need some luck here because I do think we're so limited without them two.
No, I agree. I think title winners, they do get their share of luck as well. It's not just of course you've got to be supremely consistent throughout the season. Of course you do, but you need these game changers as well. And I think at the moment the only one we've got really, for me, in my opinion, is Eze. We need him there. We need him for the run-in so badly. I think you were spot on with the decision he made after Villa. I think it was such a stupid decision to make. We know what he's all about. You know that what he's done at Crystal Palace. We knew he was the guy at Crystal Palace. And the fact that he has played Premiership football, there was no reason to do what he did. You know, it's almost like... it's like being punished for what? I mean, you make one mistake. A lot of players at the top level make mistakes. You just don't do that. And I think that mentally probably affected him to quite an extent. But the fact that he's the one that we look to now out of all of them, and then potentially now to lose him at this stage, 4 games in the Prem and the semi-finals of the Champions League, I don't know, Jack. If he's not able to make it for the next 2 games, that's a massive worry. And I think Kai's definitely out.
Yeah, I agree.
He could be out for the rest of the season. So now we're back to the 3 that you cited that has not really been connecting. There's no potency, is there, at all? There's just a lack of urgency and potency. So where do we go? Who do we look at? The only bright, shining, a little bit of a silver lining is Saka's return. And I think that's the guy we've got to look at now. Ironically, it's come back to him, the guy that kind of held us together for 4 years and then lost so much this season, been a shadow of himself. I've been highly, highly critical of him. Highly critical. I've been highly critical of Odegaard, but actually the snippet that we saw of them together again drove a kind of a little bit of hope that, okay, could it be that our 2 original players, and to be honest, they played well with White as well, the trio played well, could it be that we have to now fall back on that revert back to that with Timber not being, or whether he's ready or not. I don't know what's going on with him. So it's either going to be White or Mosquera, as you said. It could be those three that play a big important role now in the next few games.
Yeah.
But Eze and Havertz lost. I don't get it. I think we are unlucky. I have to say we've managed our injuries really well this season. We people tend to forget that. Yeah, we bought a lot and we had that depth, but we had to use that depth to its full capacity, and we lost a lot of key players throughout this season as well. Yet we're still up there. So there is that. But
I think it's unprecedented. I still do. We don't know what's going to happen with this season, and we're keeping our fingers crossed, obviously. But I think we've played 21 different front threes this season.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Honestly, Neil, it's for a team. Usually, a team that has, because we had dreadful injuries last season, and I don't think it's ever let up. I genuinely don't think there's ever been a point, and no one's talked about it because no one wants to hear it, and even Arsenal fans don't really want to hear it. But the facts are that most teams that have this injury list, they're sitting like Liverpool are currently. They're sitting fighting for their Champions League spot, and that is really, if you look in the history books, I'm almost certain that's what we'd be looking at. I'd be very interested to see the data on that, because typically, like you say, the teams that win it, they get a hell of a look at City. I mean, they just roll out the same 11 every week. Do you know what I mean? They just roll out the same 11 every week. Sure, they get the odd little 1 weeker here and there. But unless it's a Gavardio type injury, who they replaced, by the way, within a week for 60 million. So it's just not comparable anyway. But it's crazy. No, it's not.
Look what they do in January. They buy players like Semenyo and the Palace defender who have been.
The only times injuries ever affected them is when a window has just closed, and that's happened twice in Pep's reign. Once when Liverpool won the league by 20 points, they lost their best centre-back to an ACL tear like a week after the window closed in Laporte, and once last season where Rodri got injured against us just after the window closed, and they couldn't do anything until January. By January they were out of it. They spent 300 million in January, and then they spent it again in the summer. And then they spent it again this January. So, like if they're able to do it, they'll just do it. They'll just replace it because they're doped. So it's not even comparable. It's not. And no one wants to hear it, but it is. Those are the facts. The other thing I'd say as well, Neil, I think. I'm going to lay into Madueke, so I just want to hit him with a positive first of all. In that first 10 minutes, he did quite well. He won the 2 corners that led to our goal. He won the first one that Eze hit wide, then he ran through and won a corner to then lead to our goal, and that was good. Beyond that, dreadful. The guy is getting worse and worse and worse. He's all fluff. I'm fed up of his little dribbles and step overs. It's driving me crazy. Honestly, I don't really see the value in using him. I think it's been how much I've laid into Gyökeres, but I think Madueke is right up there in terms of performance, and I don't think Gyökeres is, to be honest. I think there's a lot of people can look at Gyökeres and say to me, well, look at the goals that he's got, look how much he's had to start for us, and I can go, I'd have to nod along. I'd have to go, you know what, you're right. He's got a lot of important goals for us. He's had to play almost every week because we've got one bloke that can't stay fit and another bloke that, let's be honest, is not at the level anymore to play full 90s. But for Madueke, his role was, if Saka gets injured, you've got to show that you can compete with him. And since Saka's been injured, he's been dreadful. He's got worse. And that breath of fresh air that we had at the start of the season, where we were like, oh, well, risky dribbler winger, it's all gone for me. I'm like, oh, I can't stand it. You just know what the end point's going to be as well. There's never any output. So now you're just like, oh, it just drives you crazy with him. But I do think I think our set pieces directly have waned a little bit. I don't know if the data's proven it, but the effectiveness. And I think not having Timber and Calafiori in the team is a factor, because I think Timber, after Gabriel, is our best aerial player. And Calafiori's quite good as well. I mean, you remember the one against United, first game of the season and things like that. So our 2 fullbacks we've lost aerial abilities from them, because Hincapi doesn't do a lot in the offensive fullback. And White really 2-3 years ago, he was a decoy, but he can't do what he used to do anymore because he basically did silly stuff like holding the goalkeeper's hands and, and you can't get away with it anymore. So basically, we just say, Ben, don't do anything silly. That's basically what we're saying. We're almost taking him out of it. So I think we've lost a lot of our direct set piece danger because those two fullbacks are not fit, and we need them back for many other reasons, but we need them back big time. But Neil, after the goal, like you said, you thought the floodgates were going to open, and to be honest, I wouldn't say they had more danger, because I don't think Newcastle put us under too much, but they had more of the ball. They certainly had a few little openings, a few shots from distance and things like that, and we struggled, Neil, with the injuries that occurred and the changes to the lineup. We really struggled, Neil. It was a really, really difficult watch, wasn't it?
There was nothing much to report. I mean, I can't, apart from when Saka made his appearance, I can't remember offering too much. I don't know. I've deliberately blocked it out of my head if there was anything, but there wasn't anything that really stood out that we were going to be a threat to them. And if anything, like you said, I mean, I think their XG was better at the end of the game.
Yeah, it was like 1.0 to like 0.7. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, ours was awful, but I think even theirs wasn't great, but it was still better than ours. So that tells a story. I think the potential threats, were more from them than us. I mean, even when their two substitutes combined, they should have scored, and they didn't.
Oh,
of
my
course,
gosh.
Of course, when that was near the end of the game, that would have been it. I think that would have driven a nail right through us, the final nail. And I wouldn't have been surprised if a lot of the crowd left at that point, if that goal had gone in. And that was still a few minutes away from full time, but I think a lot of the fans would have left early. But there was, going back again, rewinding, sorry to have gone forward there. I mean, it took Raya quite a decent save to keep them out as well. Do you remember where a shot came from nowhere and he had to dive down?
In the first half, that was from Martinelli, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Wasn't that after the goal as well? It was after.
It was, because it was like a volley and it was moving all over the place. It was moving
everywhere, and we thought, oh my God, that was close.
He's got a shot on Martinelli. He's got a good shot.
He has. And I think the early doors, actually, before we scored, didn't they have a couple of opportunities, and one went over the bar, and that could have been a goal as well. So to be honest, I would say that they posed the bigger threat. And that is so telling when, this is what I said earlier, I'll just go back to that. This didn't look like a team that's feeling that they're part of a group of players that can win the title. Everyone was saying the same around me, like, does this look like a team that's going for the Prem to you? Like, no. It's like a team that's just gone through the motions of being involved in something. They're out of it now, and they're just waiting for the summer break. And I couldn't believe this, Jack. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And people are going to say, what's the matter with you? We're in it. We're 3 points ahead at the league and at the top of the league, and we're still in it, and we're still in the Champions League semi-final. What's wrong with you? Why are you being like this? It's because of the context. It's because of where we were to where we are. But more importantly, the performances. Yeah. The performances are so inept, Jack. They lacked any kind of potency, any kind of intent. If we were trying our best, look, if all the performances, this is the irony, if all the performances had been like what we did at City, I wouldn't be saying this now, because I'll be saying, well, we're trying. We are trying. We've had that little bit of bad luck with injuries and maybe a couple of decisions here and there, like we had the decision again with Newcastle.
Feel free to talk about it. We'll get
that to was it. A red card. Mate, that was a red card. Yeah. I don't understand. Saliba got sent off at the halfway line. Was it against Bournemouth? I can't remember who it was. For far less, in my opinion. And this guy has taken away a golden chance of scoring a goal, literally from an open goal, because the goalkeeper was the one who was at fault. And they're going on about, no, that's a yellow.
I don't think people...
It's a professional foul.
I don't think people were looking at it right. And I think what people are disregarding is it's the goalkeeper. So when you say, like, for Saliba's one, which was ridiculous, I agree with you, because it was so far away from the goal, and it really, you've never actually seen that again. You've never seen a red card given where they're basically on their halfway line, because you take distance into account. And back then they were doing silly stuff like comparing Ben White's speed to Evan Nilsson or whatever. It was just ridiculous the way they were trying to, about Howard Webb was on the phone in the crowd, the week before the Liverpool game, going, give him a red, and then he disappeared again, and no one said anything about it. Again, Arsenal the only ones to be affected by that particular decision. But this one also, this is crazy, because the goal, when you say last man for the Saliba one, you make the assumption, of course, that the goalkeeper is there in the net. This is the goalkeeper that's being considered the last man. There's no one in the goal. So that's where I don't even understand how I accidentally turned my TV off at the time, and I just thought, as soon as I turned it back on, I thought I'd just see him walking. And when I heard, they went, and Lee Dixon, who's just the worst. I mean, honestly, he's an ex-Arsenal player and a legend, but beyond that, he's the absolute worst, mate. We get it. We get it. You're from the north of England, mate. All right, we get it. But he's just absolutely dreadful the whole time. Basically, the whole game, he's talking about what would happen if Newcastle score. And even in this moment, he's justifying why it's a yellow card. And I'm like, I can't believe where you're coming from. I just cannot fathom what you're doing here. You're a professional footballer and you're trying to justify this being a yellow card. And like you said, Neil, it's actually really, not that it should matter, because it could be a professional foul, but he's obviously deliberately pulled Gyökeres down. But the last man thing's just eradicated. So when they're going, but the Newcastle defender, it doesn't matter, because there's no one in the goal. There's no one in the goal, so that's why it's a red card. It doesn't matter where the defender is. It's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. So I don't understand why people are saying that. It's like they're making the assumption that the goalkeeper's become a defender, and there's a goalkeeper back there. And I'm like, no, that's still the goalkeeper, mate. He's flying 40 yards out of his goal like an idiot, and taking him out, and it has to be a red card. So you're right, mate. I mean, and that would change everything, obviously. And the other big moment, we had a couple of little chances with Saka and Martinelli overhead kick and Saka just wide, but the Gyökeres through, in the 90th minute. Neil,
those memes go through there.
Honestly, have you seen Calafiori's reaction?
He was, he just like by the crowd, yeah.
Neil, I think honestly, I have to say, I mean, I just think that is such a poor action. When I watch that, I think I'm watching a pub level team. You've got 3 players over there. Yeah. You've probably got you could play it 10 yards in front of the Newcastle defender and Pope won't get to it. Do you know why he won't get to it? Because he's on a yellow card. He's rubbish. He can't play with his feet. This is why he always does silly stuff outside the box, like he did at St James's Park, which he got away with again on Gyökeres. And it's just so bad, Neil. It's so technically bad. But I think it epitomises, and it's not just Gyökeres, I get called out for just ruining it. I think it epitomises the lack of technical quality we've got in that front line. I really do, because you're looking at it going, that is so easy. And it reminded me a bit of the Rice one to Havertz in the League Cup for you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just such an easy ball, man. I mean, me or you could play that. Honestly, we could. And it's so poor. And this is another reason why I aged about 3 years during that pass. I mean, it's just, honestly, Neil, I don't even know where to go with it. And I'm watching it, and if you're like me, you're watching it going, if they equalise here, Victor, I'm telling you deserve. Yeah. I don't know what punishment you deserve, but honestly, I don't know how did you react during that? Because I was so livid, Neil.
I didn't react. Is the answer, because you're just sitting. Your analogy of 83 years. I don't know what to say. I mean, it was such a wonderful opportunity. Such a wonderful opportunity to showcase that, look, that I can be the forward everyone thought I was going to be. I'm not going to single this out for Gyökeres, because there is stuff that he's done which I've been really happy about. Don't get me. I don't want people to listen to this and think, oh my God, look at these two just destroying him. Because there was actually one moment in the game where he was up front, they won the ball back, and he followed it all the way back, won it back, and got it back into play. So he was doing stuff like that. To be fair,
and the red card stuff he did well.
To be fair, to be fair, all of that is fine. So that little bit of hold up play there, and that little bit of running back and driving back and trying to defend from as well and win the ball back. All of that, some stuff he was doing great. So let's play devil's advocate for a second and be pragmatic and diplomatic about it. However, there is no excuse. Is supposed to be he's an international forward, and he's supposed to be up there as one of the best. That is the reason why we got him. That's why there was so much excitement when we signed him. You and James were talking about him for a long time, I remember. But
I was very excited.
I close my ears when all this gossip talk is, because I don't believe anyone's really there until they've signed, sealed and delivered and done all the rest of it. But I just keep out of it. But you guys were talking about it. And then when we got him, there was so much excitement. Yeah. Have we finally found that striker that we've been crying for? And then that was probably one of the best examples you could take of showing this is what we missed. And what does he do? It's inexcusable. I mean, the whole crowd were just like, I didn't react because to me, I'm not surprised. I'm just not, Jack, I've got to the stage where I was with Mickey and Dean and they were like, God, aren't you worried, Neil? And I'm like, no, because I'm not expecting anything else. I'm just not expecting anything else anymore. I think it'll be easier for me to now have a zero expectation. It's not glass half empty. It's not being negative. I'm just rather not egg myself on to feel that we're going to accomplish X, Y, and Z when actually then it ends up with nothing. So I'd rather be in that position now. And I was just sitting there thinking, why am I not surprised? But it was dreadful. Jack, there's no excuse. And if the manager doesn't pull him up on that, then he's not doing his job.
No.
Because he's got to. And he's got to say, do you know where we are at the moment? What we're playing for here? Do all of you players know what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve? No, Rice talks the talk, and I love Rice, by the way. But even there was a moment where he was through,
yeah.
And what does he do? Why isn't he just putting the ball? He is one of the most capable players. All right, we talk about Eze, probably the one that can do that. But Rice is no mug, Jack.
So capable. Capable.
He's so. What was he doing there?
Don't know.
So even he's to blame. For me, the only player that did anything which made sense, and he was on his own a lot because Eze was drifting inwards inside, was Hincapié. He was actually taking command of that whole left side on his own.
Yeah, do you know, I love Hincapié, but I always go back to thinking, I was saying it a few weeks ago, I'm like, he's our upgrade on Tomiyasu. And by that, what I mean is we've become an off-the-ball team in recent weeks, other than the City game. Yes. And he is elite at being in that role. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if we're going to play like that, you keep him on the pitch. The problem is, and I don't think I love Hincapié, but when you're playing at home, you want to start on the front foot. You want to start on the front foot. You want to be really progressive, and that's where you want Calafiori. Or Luis, you want someone that's a bit more dominating on the ball. Hincapié is a closer for me. He is a close. Or you're going to go, okay, injuries like this game. In a sense, if we'd started better in this game, and then Eze and Havertz had gone off at half time because of injuries, and then we'd gone, crap, we need to go off the ball, and then perfect. But when we want to start from the start, we want to be really progressive. We shouldn't be having to start Hincapié, and that's where I'm just looking at Calafiori and I'm like, what is wrong with you? How many injuries can you possibly have in a season? The transfer market list is having to create a new page for you. You honestly, no one even knows what it is. Even Calafiori's going, I can't remember what leg it is. Do you know what I mean? Like he's lost count. He doesn't know what it is. It's so frustrating. Do you know what I mean? And I love him, but I think, you remember when we used to always bring Tomiyasu on when we were like, hold on a minute, we're 1-0 up here or 2-0 up here,
that's
going off the ball. And Nketiah is just a better version of that. He's so good one-on-one. Jacob Murphy had no joy out of him whatsoever.
Yeah.
But basically, we went, we're going to be off the ball for 90 minutes. And Nketiah was like, brilliant, that's all I do. That's why he excels at it. But we want to be more progressive than that. And that's where it doesn't work, And I'm like, because he's not that. And it's not his fault. He's not that guy. But we're asking him to do both. And he's not that guy. And it's just so frustrating to see that. But you're right, he was an absolute warrior. And when you go to that in the last 20, you're like, you can't take him off. You can't take him off because this is the moment that you really need him. So now you just got tired Nketiah, but he's still better than anything else we've got off the ball. He's so good one-on-one. I mean, I've always thought Timber's amazing one-on-one, but Nketiah just unbelievable, just brilliant. I think he can be really good as a left centre back too, and he's a brilliant signing. He's even if his on the ball qualities are a little more limited than a Calafiori type player, and he doesn't roam as much as a Lewis Kelly. It's still a brilliant signing because you're going to need that, and especially
he's reliable, and I think you can trust him. Yeah. I think you'd have more confidence from a defensive capacity. I'd have more confidence than him than I would with Calafiori. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love Calafiori, but he's more, as you right. I think you've actually got that spot on. I never looked at it like that. At the moment, we need goals. The only way we can win this title, we've got to score more goals than City does. Because I think I looked at the run-in now. I've actually looked at both the run-ins. And I think on paper, actually, they've got a couple of really tough games in Bournemouth and Brentford. I think they're tough. They're tough.
Brentford's at home, though, right?
Yes, it's at home. But, they're a pretty decent side. Even after losing some of their players, I still think they're a decent side. And I think Bournemouth is a difficult one as well. And I'm not suggesting that they're going to drop any points. I think they're going to win all their games, personally. I'm talking about the number of goals they can score. It's the number of goals they can score. Yeah. And I think, looking at what we've got left, we should, in theory, be capable of scoring a few goals in each of those remaining games. I believe
great chances to do it.
Yeah. Even West Ham, which I now probably would suggest that's probably our hardest of the four, because they're fighting for survival. But if we get an early goal, I think that might cause the floodgates to open, because then they've got no choice. They have to go for a win because they've got no choice. So when they do that, they're open. So I think out of the two run-ins, for terms of trying to get goals, I think we've got a slightly, I wouldn't say easier, but a more of a chance. So we need progression. And what you just said there about Nketiah is we need a Calafiori or a Miles Lewis-Skelly. But what I thought happened with Miles Lewis-Skelly coming in as a cameo,
finally,
it suggests in the midfield, it suggests, I wonder if he's going to do that now.
Yeah, he's got to. For me, he's got to. Neil Norgard's played 60 minutes all season in the Premier League. And so basically, let's just call it what it is. You don't trust him. Yeah. That's what it is. I don't think he was even injured. We just didn't put him in the squad for this game. So Zubimendi cannot last 90 minutes 3 times a week. In fact, you might even argue at this point he shouldn't be lasting. He seems to fade. He was sick in this game, so I'll give him it. And I actually thought he was very good against City, but Lewis Kelly has to be that player to come in for Rice or Zubimendi, especially when you've got no Havertz, no Marino. It's got to be, because the trust has been there before in Lewis Kelly. Sure, not from that position, but he played 40-odd games last season. Norgard's played 60 minutes. So you've got to, and I agree with that hierarchy. But you've got to use it. So like you, I was, and he had some really nice passes, Lewis Kelly. Yeah, played some really nice balls through the centre of the pitch, and sure, it didn't create anything, but it could have done. There was little moments, and if we got the right pass off, it would have done. And I think he's got an eye, and I actually think, and my brother made this point, I think he is probably more trusted in the 8, so just drop Rice back, or if you're taking Rice off, keep Zubimendi back and play Lewis Kelly a little higher, because he does have a slight susceptibility to every now and then get turned over on the ball, so to put him a little higher. But what he does have as well is he has that incisiveness, he has that ability to roll a player, he has that pace to drive with the ball and run with the ball that we don't really have from a midfielder on the bench.
Yeah, correct.
You've got to do it, Neil, because with Zubimendi and Rice have been vastly overplayed. Rice can handle it, but Zubimendi, a lot of people giving Zubimendi
first season as well.
Yeah, he's played over 54 games or something. He's played a ludicrous amount of football, Zubimendi, and I think it's it's quite logical why he's fading.
I don't think you can sit there faulting him or criticising him. He's just overplayed. It's
massively overplayed. Yeah. And part of the reason is he doesn't trust Norgard, and that's on Arteta. Part of the reason is he's lost Marino, and he would have taken some minutes. So it's partly bad luck, partly poor recruitment, I think. So, but either way now, we're really limited, right? We've got more injuries now.
Yeah.
And I think with the Kai thing, I think the frustration I got is last week, I think you really saw he can do both. If you want to go long, you can go long to Kai. If you want to play it short, he'll also drop deep and be able to do that. With your Chris, you can't go long. You can't go long.
Yeah.
You can't go. If you do go long, you're doing it out of hope more than belief. You really are. You can't really go long with him. And what that does is it means we've got to build from the back again. And people are, since the Bournemouth game, they're pressing us high. Yeah. And that creates the nervousness and the anxiousness. So I look at it and I go, wow, without Havertz and without Marino, we've basically removed that ability. So we've got to find another way. We've kind of limited our, a way of playing, and that's where the frustration is for me more than anything. Plan A has to work, kind of thing. But I don't know. Yeah, Neil, look, we got through it. It wasn't like in the last 5 or 10 minutes this game I was like, oh my gosh, Newcastle creating. They weren't. They had a bit of territorial pressure. The Wissa chance obviously was the one where your heart was in your mouth. Yeah. And you were like, oh my gosh, how did he miss it? But beyond that, relatively comfortable, but not enough. Probably should have scored late on with the Gyökeres misplaced pass.
Yeah.
And we got through it. Arteta was ecstatic. You could tell at the end, and with the players dropping down to the ground, it looked absolutely exhausted. How do we conjure up the energy, Neil, for midweek and going to Madrid? I mean, they basically have given up on their league because they've already qualified for Europe. So they've not really had to play anyone. It to the level that we've had to in the league, so they'll be fully fresh and roaring ready to go. I think he's got to make changes, but the only changes I really see, Neil, is at full-back area, because you could do a Mascara, or I think Calafiori was very close, so I think you could do possibly a Calafiori, though I think there's a good chance he goes with Nketiah game, to be honest. But
I don't think he'll start Calafiori. He may come on.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. But you could easily change. I mean, you've got to start Saka, ain't you? You've got to still, maybe you've got to start Saka. I can't be seeing Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli. So Trossard will start.
Yeah, Trossard will probably start. And I think, I don't know about starting Saka, because I think I'd rather start Saka for the Prem game.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right? I think
depends where he's at, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends where he's at. If he's fully ready and
we just start down with him.
There. Oh, wow! He won't. No, he won't. But he won't. He won't do it. He won't. He's not going to start down in the semi-final of the Champions League. I mean, I'll be shocked if he does. I know you don't like it, but I think he's going to stick with Madueke to start. I could be wrong. He might start Saka, but I personally, if it was me, I would rather hold him back. Maybe bring him on for maybe at 55, 60 minutes if things are going okay. If the things are going badly near this, even before that, then we need to bring him on earlier. But if things are kind of going on all right, maybe we're 0-0 or it's 1-1 or 1-0 or whatever it is, then I'd bring in Saka, because I think I'd rather have him on for a full term game against Fulham. I think we need him for Fulham for the whole game, because Jack, we need to score goals. I don't want to win 1-0. I know this sounds really selfish and stupid. It's not about the points anymore for me. As I said earlier, it's the goals. I can't. Can you really see Man City dropping any more points? I can't. No. I just can't. So
they're on a ridiculous run.
Let's just assume they've already. We're the ones with 4 games in hand. Let's assume they've already played all their games and they've already got the points. That's how I think that's the mentality we've got to go in. And all we've got to do is we've got to accumulate this number of goals. The only way to do that. I'm sorry, Saka was direct as soon as he came on. As soon as he came on, he flashed the chance. Went wide.
Deflected wide, yeah.
Right, and then he was, of course, involved in the goal, a chance that Odegaard had. So he already did more, although Madueke had a good start maybe in the first 10 minutes. But after that, Madueke, as you said, was really, might as well not have been there. So he's already done more. So for me, we need Saka for the full 90 against Fulham. I don't want Saka to start on Wednesday, is it? And then something happen and go wrong because he's just come back. So I'd rather see Saka cameo. I'm not cameo, but play part of that game. But it depends on how the game's going. But I think you're right. MLS has to start because I think that's the only option. If California can't, I think MLS has to start. And then Capia maybe come in. If say we're 1-0 up, and then we're trying to hold the game, hold that lead, then maybe bring in Capi on afterwards. Of course, the other defence is the same, the centre-backs. Saka, and I think Trossard for the left. Because Martinelli, what's happened to him? He was brilliant in the Champions League early doors. And now he seems to have disappeared. Yeah. I mean, I think it will be Trossard. You could argue Martinelli as well because he has been better in the Champions League, but I didn't really see it against Sporting so much, to be fair. He did play against Sporting, didn't he? I'm sure he did, and I don't think he was as effective as he was. So I think Trossard for me. All I'm saying is, if you're looking at a prediction,
go ahead. Predictions for Madrid, Atletico Madrid away on Wednesday, and Arsenal Fulham on Saturday. I
think we just try and hold it as close as we can for the return leg against Madrid. So at least we've got a good chance. I'm just gonna go with a 1-0 midweek, and I'll say
take it. Flip it.
I'm gonna say Saka 1-0. I think he will. Whatever he plays, I think he might convert. I'll say Saka 1-0 Madrid, and then Fulham. There's no choice, Jack. I think minimum we have to get 4 goals. Because I know you're laughing, but Jack, the thing is, look,
Neil, we haven't had 4 shots.
I know we won't even get 4 shots. I know, but I'm banking on 3 own goals, mate.
Yeah, it's been a while for that, actually. We're due a run of those.
I don't care if we know there's goal FC. I'll take 4 own goals. The point is, remember, City will have 2 games in hand. And they're going to score. They're going to score. You know they are.
Yeah, they're creating tons.
So we're only what? Is it 1 up at the moment? Is it 1 up at the minute?
Yeah, 1 up.
So if we get 4, it will only be, even if we get 3, we're only going to be 4 up. And they could do that smash that in 1 game. Yeah. The way they play. So we have to. So I'm just saying 1-0 and then 4-0. Fulham scorer, I'll go Eze.
That means he's back, Fulham.
That's what I'm counting on, yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm happy then. Well, I'm happy with the results, obviously, but if Eze's back, I'm very happy. Madrid, I'll go. Oh, Jesus. It's going to be tough, isn't it? It's going to be really tough. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Odegaard. But I don't know what lineup we put out there. But and then I wouldn't mind seeing Lewis Kelly midfield, to be honest. But I don't think he'll do it. But even if he does it earlier, if he does it back, I don't know. I don't know if he'll do it. And then Fulham. I'll go 2-0 Arsenal. I'll go 2-0 Arsenal. And Saka. Yeah, I'll go 2-0 Arsenal, Saka. To be honest, I'd say either of ours. I mean, like I said, I understand your point on the goal difference, and I do agree with you. I think City, haven't been on the run they're on and caught up the points, and they're on a sort of relentless run, and this is what you see, with them in title races. They don't, ever
so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, because we allowed them back in, didn't we?
Oh,
allowed them back in, and it just feels
silly little games where we gave nothing, where we really should have got the points. I mean, even now, if you think about it, even a draw against Bournemouth might have been beneficial. Couldn't even do that.
Yeah, we didn't deserve it really in that game. I mean,
no, we didn't deserve it.
But not that Bournemouth were fantastic or anything, but we were just so poor.
But then we didn't deserve to lose against City, though. To be fair. We hit the woodwork.
Yeah,
twice.
we didn't. I mean, to be honest, we probably edged it. We probably edged it. They were very, very lucky with a few things. I thought. I think a few of the half 50-50 chances from the ref went their way.
Yeah, they did.
Like I think all of our attackers go down too easily. To be honest, and I think we've seen that over the last couple of weeks. Like, sure, is it a foul on Gyökeres? Yes. Is it a foul on Havertz from Kusanov? Yes. Are they both red cards? Yes. Do I think an elite striker stays up for both of them? I do. I think an elite striker gets round those players because they think they're going to score.
Yeah.
I watched a clip of Salah the other day against Bournemouth, funnily enough, away, and he basically got trod on his Achilles while he was running full pelt. He didn't go down because he was like, I don't want the free kick. He put the ball out of his foot and scored the winning goal. And I thought, we don't have an attacker that will do that.
Yeah.
There is not. Saka's probably the biggest culprit, to be honest. We do not have it. We have attackers that would rather go down because they think they can take a set piece and win one in the box, or get the other player booked, than this is my chance, this is my opportunity, and I'm going to take it. And there is I do feel like, just going back to the City one, I think they got away with it. I think even Haaland got a little bit away with it. It's probably a foul on Gabriel.
Oh, the goal he scored.
Yeah, I think it's probably a foul, to be honest. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised it wasn't reviewed. And the City one, the weird thing with the City one on Havertz is, again, I think it goes down too easily, but it is a foul, and they know that, and I don't think they review it, because if they review it, they have to give a foul, which means they have to give a red, and it is a foul. It's not a big foul, but it's a last man foul, and it's a red. And I think when you're watching both of those, you're like, those are 50-50 calls. Probably 60-40 in our favour that went their way, but no one's going to hear it. And Arteta, I do like the fact that Arteta said it this week and not last week. He said, okay, we lost last week and I didn't say anything, but this week that was a red card last week and it was one this week, and he knew that everyone thought it was one this week, so it was a good opportunity to say it. But I thought, that's good. You didn't say it bitterly after everyone was livid, Arsenal fans were livid, all the anxiety was there. You waited on it. But in hindsight, when everything's dropped, you're looking back at that seat and going, yeah, they did. They got the rubber to green as well. Let's be honest. But we are. But
the thing is, we shouldn't be in that position.
No, we let them to be in that position. Exactly.
We actually should have been in a position where even if we lost the City, it wouldn't have made a difference or made a big difference. And we have allowed this to happen, Jack. I always remember what you say. This season, all these refereeing decisions and all these horrible, ridiculous decisions that have gone out against us, and they're never repeated. Like the Rice literally just touching the ball, Crossard touching the ball, which both led to reds. All this nonsense, Saliba sending off, all this crap, and so many others never really repeated again. But you always said we should be playing above that, so even if we get those stupid decisions, it mitigates it because of our play is untouchable, right?
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to be, I know it wasn't a real 12 points, but it still would have been 12 points, which is a mental thing. We've got the points in the bag. And from that, we end up now in theory behind. If they win their game in hand again, they're going to get more than one goal. Even if they get one goal, they're going to be in front on goals scored.
There's an opportunity to go 6, though. There's an opportunity.
Yeah. There is an opportunity to go 6.
I know you're right, and it's not the same. There's an opportunity to go 6, and I don't necessarily think it has the same effect, but that at this point in the season, that can mean something. It can do. So we have to make sure we do that.
The only other reason, the other thing I forgot to say, the other reason I was saying about our remaining games, where I think they're more doable, because we're not actually really away if you think about it, because they're all kind of in the London area. Yeah. All of the remaining games, aren't they? I think, are they?
Yeah, they got to go to Everton, which is pretty local for them.
No, I'm talking about us.
Ours are. It's Palace and West Ham away. Those are our last 2 away games.
There you go. So we're kind of not having to really do much travelling. So in terms of that, all the omens are in our favour. We've just got to put the ball in the net, Jack. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. We need a bit of luck with these injuries, man. We need a bit of luck.
We need that as well. I think I've got a funny feeling Eze's going to be all right.
I think there's a chance. I mean, but Eze being all right is, he said I felt okay after Leverkusen, and he missed a month. At this point,
true,
missing a month is missing a...
that's the end of the season then.
Yeah, exactly. So we need these to be like, not even all right, we need them to be like sort of mini miracles for our physio team. Do you know what I mean? Because almost anything that happens to us seems to be a month. It's based on it. And the difference there is anything that seems to happen to our players is a month, and anything that seems to happen to a Man City player seems to be 3 days.
Yeah.
O'Reilly went down with a hamstring injury, and 3 days later he's back in training. And it happens to them all the time. And no one says anything. And I'm like, something's odd here. there's something not right. What are they doing that we're not doing? That
We're
they
not
just get
doing.
all these muscular injuries that they pick them up. You see them go off. Rodri went off with a groin, didn't he, against us? He'll be back. The next Premier League game, he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be back.
He'll be back. If it's us in a groin, we're looking at surgeons within the local area. So it's just.
Yeah, we've got to win one of the two. We have to win one of the two. I don't know how we do it.
Mate.
Don't care how we do it, but we just got to.
Right.
The position we were in to then not win nothing. Oh my gosh! I don't even care about what happens to Tottenham. I'm always interested about us.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really. I mean, they don't look in a great position, but they won obviously the weekend. But I've never really taken it that seriously that Tottenham are going to go down, just because I think the teams around them are so bad.
Ironically,
and obviously they've got a good manager.
Ironically, we could save them. That's the thing. If we do, well, we have to beat West Ham. It's not if we have to, but ironically, that could be the result that saves them.
Yeah.
That's the irony, isn't it? But I don't care about all of that at the minute. It's all about us. I'm just focused on us. We've just, gosh, we've got to win.
I know. Well, keep our fingers crossed that your predictions. Your predictions come true. It's been good chatting. We're at Purely Arsenal FP. I appreciate you coming on. Sorry for the hiatus on my end.
Apologise. Before you carry on, just the tribute to Alex Meninga. That was absolutely awful. That was devastating.
No way.
He was so underrated, and I'm sorry, when he was there in '98, he played a massive. I'm not talking about small. He was a massive component in getting us that double, our second double in our history. Wenger's first. He was a massive component because everyone was like, "Oh my God, David Seaman's injured. What are we going to do?" He actually came, and I actually think he performed better in his stint than David did in his part of the season. He was magnificent. That goal, that save against West Ham in the FA Cup, which was ridiculous, and then he saved the penalties as well. And then his performance at Old Trafford was unbelievable. And that 1-0 win where Mark Overmars scored was basically the foundation for us to go on and win the league. And he was so big, a big part of that. And for him to lose his life at 48, I mean, it brought back great memories of Reyes and Rocastle, and it's just so devastating. And mate, heart goes out to his loved ones and his family. But that was horrible.
Yeah, shocking, mate. So tragic. And like you, I have very fond memories on it. The only thing I always think with Manninger is, I always thought he was going to be our number one when Seaman left, and it never worked out, because he had such an amazing season in '98, and he was fantastic. He was such a good shot stopper, and he was only young. He was
very young,
20s, early 20s, maybe not even. And he had this baby face, and he was just so good, And it's terrible, and I don't really know. But I think he was married with children, which is obviously, it's just dreadful. 48, just nothing. But it's such fond memories of him and that season, and seeing some good tributes from Arsenal players in and around that time, which is nice. They remember him. Some of them still keep in contact with him and stuff like that. And he's a legend in Arsenal fans' eyes, in your eyes, in my eyes. I mean, we'll never forget that game at Old Trafford where you sort of started to believe again. You were like, well, hold on a minute, we can do it. And it was a huge shock to go there and win. At that time, it was a huge shock to go there and win at Old Trafford and not let them score against you. And
it was something that never happened, really.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Overmars going through, with a little dink from Anelka, I think it was, when it was just unbelievable. That was the first time I'd seen Arsenal win the league, so that was and the FA Cup, so it was just very, very memorable. And that was when I was really getting into it, sort of I was only sort of 10 or 11 at the time, but really knew that was what I wanted to do. But Manninger, great, well said, mate, well said. We're at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, and Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Just subscribe there for us. That really help us out. You can watch our chats, and no adverts or anything like that. And we'll be back hopefully after 2 more wins, and fingers crossed. Keep our fingers crossed. Come on, keep the faith. Up the Arsenal. Thanks, Neil.